All right, let's talk about school projects. You know the ones I'm talking about. The book report, the diorama, the classic poster board presentation, we've all done them. But what if we could take those standard assignments and turn them into something, well, something genuinely exciting, something you actually remember years later? That's what we're diving into today.
No, really, think about it for a second. I bet there's one project that pops into your head. What was it? And what made it so different from all the others? My guess is it wasn't just about spitting back facts you've memorized. It was probably about creating something, solving a puzzle, or exploring an idea you were actually curious about. And that's the magic we're trying to recapture.
So how do we get there? Well, it starts by looking beyond that old shoebox diorama. We're going to talk about a framework called project-based learning, or PBL for short. And trust me, it's a total game changer for what an assignment can be.
Now pay attention to the key words here: actively engaging, real-world, and personally meaningful. This isn't about sitting back and just absorbing information. No, this is about rolling up your sleeves, tackling problems that actually exist outside the classroom, and finding a way to connect what you're learning to your own life.
Okay, so you want to build one of these amazing projects. Where do you even begin? Well, it turns out every great project starts from the exact same place, with a really good question.
So this is the first big idea behind project-based learning. It all kicks off with a question that's both open-ended and, appropriately complex. This is your launchpad. We're not talking about a question like, when was the Declaration of Independence signed? That's got a simple answer. We're thinking about much bigger challenges.
And that's the million-dollar question, right? What does appropriately complex even mean? It's not just about making the question hard. It's about crafting a question that has layers, one that you can't just find the answer to with a quick online search. So let's break down what goes into a truly powerful project question.
Okay, so a great question. First off, makes you do real research, not just skim the surface. It also gives you some choice, some freedom to chase the parts of the topic that you find interesting. It has to connect to the real world, so it doesn't just feel like a pointless exercise. And this is crucial. It asks you to use what you already know as a starting point, all while working towards some kind of final product, a presentation, a proposal, you name it, that shows off your solution.
All right, a killer question is the perfect start, but it can't just exist in its own little bubble. And that brings us to the second pillar of a great project. It has to be tied directly to what's being taught in the classroom.
And this is the other half of the puzzle. See, a great project isn't some fun little detour from the real learning. It is the real learning. It acts like a bridge, connecting the theories you talk about in class to actual, practical application.
This chart really nails the difference. Think about it. An old school project is basically a test. The whole point is to prove that you've memorized something. But project-based learning completely flips that on its head. The goal isn't just to repeat information, it's to use that information to build or solve something. The whole focus shifts from just remembering stuff to actually applying it.
So, we've talked about the two big ideas here. You got to start with a complex question, and you've got to connect it back to the classroom curriculum. Let's boil all this down into a simple blueprint you can actually use.
Here you go, your 3-step guide. Step 1, frame that big open-ended question. Make it interesting, make it relevant. Step 2, build that solid bridge right back to your lessons. And step 3, which is so important, is to give students some choice. That feeling of ownership is what really lights a fire under people and gets them truly engaged.
And when you get right down to it, this is the change we're looking for. It's about shifting a student's entire mindset. You move them away from just checking boxes and asking, what do I have to do, and get them to a place where they're asking, what can I create? Honestly, that shift is everything. It's where the deep, meaningful learning really happens.
So that leaves us with one final thought. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher designing a lesson, a student staring down an assignment, or just a curious person. This way of thinking works for everyone. So the real question is, what problem are you going to solve next?